Well, now CNN tonight has obtained screenshots of Marjorie Taylor Greene's social media accounts.
So, that's what the big news is tonight. Don Lemon's reporting on Marjorie Taylor Greene's social media activities. There aren't any big stories in the world right now. There aren't any big stories in the United States of America right now. Nothing exciting is going on in the world or anywhere across the country that we can learn something from, that we can apply principle to, that we can look at the rule of law and try to formulate what is right and wrong here, what is good and bad here, what is true and false here. It's right back to the same old grist mill. It's right back to the same gruel that you've been feeding these people for the past 4 years straight. You're still keeping up the Trump. You still got Trump derangement syndrome. You're still looking for Trump. You're looking for another villain to fill your viewers' heads up with shit and keep them distracted on all of this small-time, small potato BS that isn't going to affect anything. If your viewers know all this crap that you're reporting to them, it's not going to change anything. It's not going to make the world a better place. It's not going to make the country a better place. It's not going to make them more informed, that they can make rational, intelligent, informed decisions in their own lives about something to do in the world today. Oh no, it's just the typical partisan political smegma that it always is.
Some since removed that are full of anti-Semitic tropes, bigotry, and outrageous conspiracy theories. Even a golf course is fodder for QAnon conspiracies, if it's Trump's. Eric Trump tweeted out this picture, which Marjorie Taylor Greene apparently takes to be a giant Q in the sky. The tweet's verified by CNN's K-File team, by the way.
Wow, what a piece of critical headline news reporting, that you're so proud of this. You're so proud of finding this tweet that you have to credit the name of the person who actually went and got it for you, because you couldn't get it yourself because you're making $30,000 a day. You're too busy to actually do your own work and be able to reference yourself as your own source for the information that you collect. That's too much to ask for you, Don. You have to put your makeup on. You're spending 45 minutes a day, maybe an hour and 15 minutes to an hour and a half a day in the makeup booth, getting your makeup on, getting your hair done, so you can sit under the lights of the studio and not sweat too much, and sit there and just read these words that go streaming by in your little chair, and you read the words that go by so you can make $20,000, $30,000, maybe $40,000 a day. We know you're too busy. We know you're too busy, and so you have to credit somebody else who got this little tweet, which is, it's a smiley face with sunglasses. Oh my God, what are your viewers supposed to do about this? They're supposed to be outraged, I guess, right? This is just outrageous that you found this tweet. And oh my God, who does this person think she is? She was elected by American voters. Let's throw her out and get rid of her then. It's Donald Trump that was anti-democracy, not you, Don Lemon, not CNN, not the Democratic Party, not the liberals, or the fake liberals, I should call them, on the West Coast. It's none of you guys that are anti-democracy. When you want to throw out an elected official out of the Congress, that's okay. You just go ahead and do it. There's a lot of anti-democratic forces here, and just like every other problem with this government in the country today, it's both Democrats and Republicans. You're applying the context for this tweet too, Don, and I don't think you have the context. We don't know this. We're taking this out of context for all I know. What is the context of this statement? Wow, Q, smiley face. What is the context? Was she already being associated with Q 20 times, 50 times, 100 times, 200, 1,000 times in her life, where it's just gotten to the point where it's just a damn joke? And it's just humor? She's just humoring herself or humoring other people by saying, wow, Q? Is that what it is? I mean, is this the evidence that you have that you can link Marjorie Taylor Greene to QAnon? Is that all you've got? Isn't there anything else? I mean, don't you have any speeches that she gave about how she's donating all her money to QAnon, or get her marching down the street somewhere with QAnon? Look at her. She's at a QAnon rally or something. Don't you have something like that? Because, I mean, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to make me think about? Okay, so she gets whacked up on all these conspiracy theories. There's a lot of conspiracy theories out there. There's a lot of people that get whacked up on a lot of things. This is just one example of one thing. Well, maybe she's a bigot. There's a lot of bigots, Don. There's a lot of bigotry out there in this government. Yes, there is. and you don't want to pay attention to any of it. You have to have the perfectly crafted partisan bigotry that you can find. You want to find bigotry that exists solely within the Republican Party so it doesn't get smeared onto you and your kind, so it doesn't get smeared onto your precious Democratic Party. And this is just one of those examples. Marjorie Taylor Greene is safe to expose. She is safe to attack. You got the political all clear to just go out there, and she's the new Donald Trump for now. She's going to be the Donald Trump flavor of the week. We're going to have to keep finding little Donald Trumps in the Republican Party every week. I think this is going to be the new trend of CNN. We're going to see a lot of this year. Get ready to vomit on this nauseating crap because they're going to be shoving it down your throat at record pace.
Then there's her lengthy thread of apocalyptic language, sprinkled with conspiracy theories. A commenter replies with a series of images featuring George Soros, and Marjorie Taylor Greene replies to the commentator by calling George Soros a Nazi.
It's always good to know that CNN provides the most critically important information. Americans would be being provided a great disservice if they weren't being told this on the news, that Marjorie Taylor Greene is engaging in conspiracy theories. And you just said that she was anti-Semitic. Excuse me, but calling George Soros a Nazi is not anti-Semitic. How in the world can you possibly deduce that Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying something anti-Semitic and then you throw this up as the example? By her calling George Soros a Nazi. So calling George Soros a Nazi is anti-Semitic? I don't understand that. I don't understand how, if somebody shares some traits with Hitler, who is the most evil person who ever lived, right? The Nazis are the most evil people who have ever lived. Isn't that true? I mean, we can't talk about Nazis either. If we talk about Nazis, we have to be talking about evil in the same breath. Bill Clinton isn't evil. George W. Bush isn't evil anymore. Democrats love him. What about George Herbert Walker Bush and Barack Obama? He's not evil, and none of these other people are evil. And of course, this country isn't evil at all. It's just, if you better make sure who you're calling a Nazi. I guess because I don't know if George Soros is he an Israeli? Is that what the problem is? Because you can't criticize Israel. Did George Soros criticize Israel? Is George Soros anti-Israel? Because that's really what the mainstream media goes with this kind of stuff. They look at what does anti-Semitism mean? If they're even going to use that trope, if they're even going to use that label or that insult, whatever you want to call it, anti-Semitic, what they mean is anti-Israel. So Marjorie Taylor Greene said something that was anti-Israel, I guess, because she called George Soros a Nazi.
And she writes, "Oh yes, a Nazi himself trying to continue what was not finished." February of 2019. That one was verified by CNN's K-File team as well. And it's still up on Twitter right now if you want to take a look.
Why the hell would I want to take a look at that, Don? Don't you think that your viewers have something more important to do than to waste their time on this kind of tripe that isn't going to solve anything? It isn't going to fix anything. I guess it might be part of your master plan to throw an elected representative out of the Congress, but as far as solving any of our problems, as far as getting anything fixed, traipsing through her funny little tweets and her little jokes and her little quips and her little smiley faces and all this, you're crediting the person who went and got this for you again, this person that's carrying your water for you, because you should be sitting at your desk for 8.5 hours. I mean, if they're going to pay you $25-30 a day, you should probably be sitting at your desk in the CNN office building somewhere for 8.5-9 hours and humping it. You should be sitting in your desk working on finding the things that you think are important to report on in the news that night. And I guess it's Marjorie Taylor Greene's Twitter feed. It's the same schmack that you were doing for 4 years when Trump was president, reading Trump's Twitters, you're like, what the hell am I going to do with myself? I'm not going to have a job anymore. I can't talk about Trump. You're still trying to talk about Trump, but you can't talk about him as much as you used to. So you're just struggling desperately to try to figure out, God, how is my job even going to be relevant anymore? I mean, all I've been doing is attacking a Republican's Twitter feed for the past 4 years, and now there isn't a Republican in the White House. I mean, the Republicans don't have control of the House. The Republicans don't have control of the Senate. The Democrats have the entire government now, and it's time to hold them to account. But instead of doing that, instead of looking at, my God, what in the hell are they doing? They're sending troops back to Syria. My God, what the hell are they doing? They just completely betrayed the American voter every time they told them and promised them that they're going to give them $2,000 stimulus checks. Now they're saying, oh, we're not going to give them $2,000 checks. It's going to be $1,400 checks. 600 plus 1,400 equals 2,000. Gotcha. And then it's not even going to be 1,400. It's going to be 1,000. We're going to talk about $1,000 stimulus checks. You're not holding their feet to the fire, are you, Don? You don't care about that. Let's dig up some nonsensical tripe from somebody's Twitter feed from, 2 years ago. See how that works out. The American people need to know this stuff, Don. This is important headline news here.
And just so you can see what she is engaging when she calls Soros a Nazi, this one portrays him as a vampire going up in flames. These bigots, man.
This vampire controls every single Democrat politician, some Republicans, and the media you watch and read every day. Evil to their core. Okay, I don't understand how this is bigotry. You can say bigotry. What exactly is bigoted about this? Is it anti-old white man billionaire? Don Lemon? You Uncleist Tom of all Uncle Toms? Is that what this is? Is that the bigotry? You know, calling somebody a vampire or calling somebody evil, maybe they are evil. Maybe George Soros is evil. So when you're calling an evil person evil, how in the world is that bigotry? But let's say they're not evil. Let's say George Soros isn't evil, and you're calling him evil. That doesn't make you a bigot. That's not bigotry. It's just an inaccurate statement.
It is really, it's outrageous. And you try to spin this as normal politics. This stuff ain't normal. This is not normal.
Is that what the CNN viewers want right now? Normal politics? What the hell are normal politics? Take me to this time, was it 4 years ago, I guess? Over 4 years ago? Was that normal politics? Is that what everybody wants? Right now we're back to normal politics, where someone just gets on stage and they lie through their teeth to the American voters. We're just going to completely ignore that. And we're going to find these trivial little pursuits. We're going to try to find some tweets from somebody from the GOP left. And we can go back to normal politics. That's what you've been doing for the past 4 years, Don. This is normal politics.
This is some racist BS. That's what it is. You're bigots.
Was it normal politics when Barack Obama massively ramped up George W. Bush's deportations of brown people across the southern border? Was that normal politics, Don? That wasn't racist, was it? When you displaced millions of Hispanic and minority families. Separating children from parents, you were doing it then too. That was normal. It was normal because Barack Obama was doing it. And Barack Obama is half black. So I can't criticize Barack Obama because if I did, I'm white. So if I criticize Barack Obama, I'm a racist. Is that what that is? Because that's what you're telling us about George Soros right now. You're telling us that George Soros is Jewish. And so you can't call somebody who's Jewish a Nazi because that's anti-Semitic. It's anti-Semitic because he's Jewish. So he would be racist because he's black. But he is black. You know, Barack Obama identifies as a black person. He looks black. He's really cool, so he kind of is black in his demeanor. And, he's like the cool black president, I guess. Unlike Bill Clinton, who was the uncool black president. But this, so he's suave, he's very presidential, he's very articulate, he's very intelligent, he's handsome, he's tall, he's thin, he's got a deep authoritative voice that's kind of calm and reassuring at the same time. He's a good leader. Policies were terrible. I mean, his policies were some of the worst policies that we've ever had in any U.S. president ever. You know, it might be the very worst of all as far as that goes. Trump was a doozy. I think Barack Obama was much worse. When Barack Obama massively ramped up George W. Bush, you love George W. Bush now, but when Barack Obama massively ramped up George W. Bush's drone strikes on brown people in the Middle East, what about all those white people in the Pentagon, Don? What about all the white bureaucrats who come up with these policies? Who invent these attacks, who come up with all this stuff? The president just kind of mindlessly signs off on that. Oh, okay, you want to go over there and do that? You can go over there and do that. You can go bomb a funeral. We're going to drone strike some terrorists, and then after their families get together and are grieving for them at the funeral, we'll just go ahead and bomb the funeral too. We'll just wipe out entire brown families full of kids and women, innocent people, loved ones that are simply mourning the death of one of their own. You're just going to bomb the funeral too. That's okay too. That's not bigotry. That's not racism. That's not evil. That's okay. Right? You're not going to criticize that because you can't criticize anything that comes in that identifies with the Democratic Party. You are a partisan shill. You are a partisan hypocrite. You're a shill for your own. You have no principle. You have no morality. There's nothing fundamental about you, Don Lemon. You're just a complete partisan hack. You see the world through a partisan lens because that is what you're paid to do. You're collecting these fat checks. You're getting paid tens of millions and hundreds of millions of dollars to lie on the air with a smug, shit-eating grin on your face. You're smugnorant. And you're going to tell other people that they're ignorant. You're going to tell other people that they're bigots, that they're racists, that they're evil. But not you. Not you or yours. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to point out the fact that you support evil people. You support racist people. You support bigots and bigotry. And you're doing it right here on the air right now. In your pretty suit and your makeup all over your face and your pretty little tie and you got your hair all done up. They probably spray cologne on you too so you can smell yourself, so you can think you're all that when you're sitting there at your desk all by yourself without a mask on, telling everybody else what to think.
Listen, I shouldn't have to explain this, but I think everybody gets it in case you don't. George Soros is Jewish.
Don, there's a word for what they call Jewish people who are actually anti-Nazi. They're called self-hating Jews. You don't call them a Nazi. You call them a self-hater or self-loathing. That's the terminology that they use for somebody who's actually... Now, is George Soros anti-Nazi? Just because you're Jewish doesn't necessarily mean you're anti-Nazi. You could be Jewish and you could be emulating a lot of the policies that the Nazis used on their own people or on undesirables that they were living around. What country does that in the world? It's not Israel, is it? What country does that? What country, shoots kids through the stomach and shoots pregnant women through the stomach and kills innocent civilians, kids playing on the beach with soccer balls and volleyballs? What country does that? Remember they used to say never again, never again. Does that only mean for Jews? That because George Soros is Jewish, and so you can't call him a Nazi because that would be anti-Semitic. So it's only them? It's only them. So you can call Donald Trump a Nazi, and that's okay. You can call him a Nazi because he's not Jewish. Like there's some kind of a line of separation between one and the other that, a Jew can't be a Nazi and a Nazi can't be a Jew. Well, I beg to differ. I think they can be, both of those things can be true. Not Nazi per se, because, we sent the Nazis packing, Nazis had a 12-year run from 1930s and 1940s. But I'm talking about people who think like a Nazi, and you set domestic policy like a Nazi, and you set foreign policy like a Nazi. That I have a political disagreement with these people, and so I'm going to destroy their lives. I'm going to bulldoze their houses. I'm going to lock them up in prisons. I'm going to take away their rights. I'm going to put them on a diet. That's behaving like a Nazi. That's what Israel does. I mean, we can look at the way that Nazis treated people in the 1930s and 1940s, and we can find direct parallels to the way that Israel treats people today.
It's the root of endless anti-Semitic tropes about him. He is not a Nazi, but he is the subject of countless ugly conspiracy theories embraced by Marjorie Taylor Greene and her cronies.
Well, believing in conspiracy theories doesn't make you a bigot either. It doesn't make you a racist. It doesn't make you evil. It might make you dumb to believe in a conspiracy theory, but I think some conspiracy theories are true. I think people conspire together every single day. I mean, I think that's just a matter of course. I think it happens in every boardroom of every corporation almost every single day. I mean, they're conspiring together to do things, and it's not open and transparent. These are all private communications behind closed doors. People, directors on a board, let's say, of a corporate board, they're conspiring together to do things in the marketplace.
Oh, and there's more, sadly. Boy.
So this is what gets y'all flustered and breathless. This is what gets you worked up. Huh, Don? Some Twitters that some GOP congresswoman wrote years ago. Things that she said. Little quips and little comments that she said. This is what you get upset about. There's no real problems out there, are there? There aren't real, terrible, horrifying problems out there happening in the world right now. Or in the country, for that matter. All over the place. All over the place. There's all kinds of things that you could be reporting on the news today, both bad and good. Important things that are relevant to our lives, that are relevant to our freedoms, that are relevant to our prosperity. You're not reporting on any of that. You're focused on bigotry, and you found a bigot, and you just can't let it go. You're going to dig this bigotry all the way to China. But the problem is, Don, that if you really cared about bigotry, you would be exposing more bigots than this. You would be exposing hundreds and hundreds of them. In fact, I think 5 minutes. Again, because I think that Marjorie Taylor Greene is a bigot. So 5 minutes. And then how much more time do you have in the hour that you have to work? The hour that you have to read these teleprompters? That's about 12 bigots. You could expose 12 bigots a night. 5 times 12 equals 60. You got 60 minutes on the air. Well, maybe 10. I'll give you 10. We'll give you a little bit of cushion because I know you have to take your commercial breaks. You got to pay your sponsors. So 10. That's, an hour a day. That would be a good use for you. And figure out what you can do so you don't lose your job now that Trump's not president anymore. 10 bigots a day. It's 50 a week since you work Monday through Friday. 50 bigots a week. You'll be done in never. You're never going to be done. And you're going to be giving equal time and equal measure and equal attention to each and every one of these bigots. And there's going to be plenty of them streaming in from the Democratic Party, too, if you're honest, if you really care about bigotry, if you really care about racism. They're going to be from both parties. It's going to be just about 50-50, like it is with everything else that we can criticize these two goddamn parties for. You're not going to do that. You don't really care about bigotry. You don't really care about racism. And you don't really care about evil. You care about supporting evil and supporting bigotry and supporting racism. So long as it's Democratic Party bigotry, Democratic Party evil, and Democratic Party racism.
This same source shared screenshots of 2 now removed Facebook posts of Marjorie Taylor Greene's page, which CNN has not independently confirmed. But one, a fake promo for the funeral of the late Senator John McCain, a war hero who saved his country in the Senate for more than 30 years, right? And Marjorie Taylor Greene comments, "This funeral has gone on way too long." I guess there's nothing that helps you hitch your card to the Trump train quite like mocking the funeral of a dead war hero, Marjorie. Shameful. Disgusting. Who elected her?